everyone, and welcome back to Fireword Sparkler. If you're new here, I'm Nirali, and on here I craft, I talk about writing and music and all sorts of other things on this channel, but today I'm going to be talking a little bit more about music. I've been doing that a lot lately. So this video is a bit of a sequel to my last video where I kind of built my record store day wish list. I wanted to talk about how the day went and what I ended up getting. Spoiler alert, I did really good.
So we woke up at 5 a.m. and had a tiny bit of breakfast before heading to Electric Fetus, which is a fantastic record shop in Minneapolis.
Hello.
Hello.
It is record store day.
Happy record store day.
And we are on our way. What time is it?
I'm not sure.
It's
probably like almost 6.
Yeah, we left at like 5:35 and we are almost at Electric Fetus in Minneapolis. And we are having a good time.
It's
first thing in the morning. What
it's a little chilly, but it's quite pleasant.
Yeah, it is like gonna hit 65 at like 4 p.m. So got about 10 hours, but it's in the 30s right now. So we are fully bundled up. Minnesota.
We reached at around 6 a.m. and were about halfway down the block. The way Electric Fetus works is by handing out numbers to people in line and then allowing people to leave the line and hang out in the back where numbers are being called, or leave and come back just as long as they're coming back in time to hear their number called and get the records they want. The shop started handing out numbers at 8 a.m. and I received the number 135, which was significantly better than last year. I think we were around the high 200s or low 300s last year. Anne and I also each got a number this time around. Anne was 136. Last time we didn't know that we couldn't go in together. We thought that one of us having a number meant both of us could go in, but you know, you live and learn. At around 9, the record shop actually opened for record store day and numbers started being called. And everyone had a 5-minute limit to browse and grab what they wanted before checking out so that the line would move along and so that numbers could keep being called. The 5 minutes wasn't really a hard and fast rule. It was more of a guidance, but it really worked to get things moving along. And the record store day area is actually in the Electric Fetus garage area, not in the main record shop. So you don't actually need that much time to browse, especially if you came in with a list. They also had a fantastic board out front where they were crossing off albums as they were sold out. It was really great to make sure nobody was wasting any time while browsing for their want list, and it also set expectations really well. This was also better than last year when they had a whiteboard out and had someone writing down names of the albums as they were sold out. And I'm sorry to that person, but he had really horrible penmanship and it was just completely unreadable. So this time they had this like print off and that really worked out. So it is just past 9 and they started calling numbers and the Wicked soundtrack is already gone. So yeah, Anne went to get us coffee. I've been awake for 4 hours already and it's only 9 a.m. I'm hungry, but there's a food truck here. Thank you, Electric Fetus, for getting the food truck. It's a Mexican food truck that mostly has meat, but I think I can find something. But yeah, it'll be good. It's fine. So at around 10:30, so about an hour and a half-ish after they started calling numbers, we were called and were able to do our browse. They were calling numbers about 10 at a time, which really worked for the amount of space they were working with. And I just have to say, overall, Electric Fetus is just really pro at managing a day like this and the type of crowd they get. But yeah, it was just a total rush getting in there. Anne and I kind of had the plan of splitting up the list because things were arranged in alphabetical order, and that kind of worked, that kind of didn't. We were able to talk across the room to each other a bit, which was nice, and like I got this one, and just go down the list of what we had left. And by 10:45 we had gotten a free cinnamon roll and were completely checked out.
So this is my ridiculous haul. I think this is gonna be the thumbnail. Yay! I kind of wanted to first talk about the things that I really wanted and that were on my list from last time, but were out, and then we can go through these. Things that were out were Bia de Biba Do Bees, live and acoustic in London. George Harrison's All Things Must Pass picture disc, which I was a little bit surprised by because it was kind of the big get this year, but it's kind of like I both expected that and didn't. I was expecting there to just be more volume of that vinyl because it was so hotly anticipated. But yeah, that was out really, really fast. So was the Fleetwood Mac picture disc, which I also kind of expected. The other things on my list that were out were the two Vince Guaraldi trio albums. It's the Easter Beagle Charlie Brown and the Jazz Impressions of a Boy Named Charlie Brown. And then the Wicked soundtrack was out pretty much immediately. And if you've been kind of floating around on the forums and stuff, you know how much drama there's been with the Wicked soundtrack Sparkly RSD edition. So I'm kind of glad I ended up not getting it and staying far, far away from that. Here is what I have got. So the first thing up is Yoko and John's Power to the People album. This one is really special just because, you know, I am a New Yorker at heart, and I really am kind of obsessed with Yoko Ono as an artist, as a person. She's such a fascinating person to me, and yeah, it's really special to have this. She's so powerful. And yeah, like I said before in my last video, I don't really love having singles, but I'm definitely going to put this one on, so I'm excited about that. So the next one I got is the Doctor Who vinyl. I am so excited to have another one of these in my possession. I haven't cracked any of my RSD finds open yet. I had a bit of travel right after RSD, and I really want to kind of take the time to appreciate them. So yeah, I'm so excited about this. I've heard a lot about the episode 10th Planet, but I haven't listened to it or watched it or found a way to, you know, stream it. A lot of really old Who is only available on audio because of the way the BBC archived at the time, which is that they didn't, which just makes this so much more special to have. It's a William Hartnell episode, and so much of that is lost media, so it's really nice to have a physical version of this. Next is the Patsy Cline album I ended up getting. I thought this would be interesting to get just because I don't have a lot of country and I find Patsy's voice to be gorgeous, but I'm not super familiar with Patsy Cline, so I'm excited to get into it. This was one of the more expensive ones. I don't know if you can see the sticker, but it says $54.99. And it's because it's got 2 full LPs in it, and it has, you know, a bunch of Christmas songs, a bunch of our classics. It's an exciting one to have. Oh, and I just discovered that it's numbered. I am in the sub 500 category on this one, so that's really special to have. Yeah, this one is a bit of a question mark, how much I'm actually gonna pull this out, but I'm excited to have it, and it's one of those things where with RSD, when you're in that moment, you just want to get as much of your list as possible, especially once you start seeing things run out. So yeah, I'm excited to have it. I am also, you know, of two minds of whether or not I'm going to hang on to it, just because I don't have a lot of space. It's lost recordings too, so it's another thing where it's like there's a lot of rediscovered media happening on RSD, exclusive media happening, so it's nice to have. This next one is another one where I'm like not sure if I'm going to hang on to, and it's one that I was of two minds about getting when I was building my wish list too, and it's the Killers and Bruce Springsteen EP. It's just got a couple songs on it. It's got Born to Run, and obviously that's a Bruce classic, but I enjoy, you know, the Killers as big singles, but I don't really know them very well. So, you know, it's one of those that I have mixed feelings about. It was $26 to purchase, and yeah, it's I feel like I would just prefer to have a full Bruce album than this. Like, I would rather get Born in the USA or Born to Run. He loves being born. But it's one of those things where I'm happy I have this, but I don't know if I'm going to hang on to it. And I'll discuss that a little more later, of like selling and things like that. So the next one, this was really exciting to grab. This is Dolores O'Riordan's No Baggage. And actually, my partner Anne grabbed this, and she lived in Ireland for a time, and this was the last copy of No Baggage at Electric Fetus, so it was really exciting for her to grab, and it was just such a rush, and I'm really happy we have a Dolores O'Riordan album. And I think this is one that will definitely get a lot of spins. So the next one is one that I'm really excited about, and it is Thelonious Monk's live album. I have a couple of live jazz albums, but I didn't have a single Thelonious Monk album. So I am so happy to have this, and I am very, very excited to listen to it. Just jazz like this is just something that I always like to have on, whether we're just like playing a board game or making some bread. I've been making a lot of bread lately, or just, you know, doing anything that doesn't require, you know, talking or watching something. I like to have jazz on, so this is really, really exciting. And oh, it has one of those like really long articles on the back, which I love. If you saw my kind of highlights from my record collection video, I'll link it down below. You'll know that I like read Ravi Shankar's liner notes, which was an article about Ravi Shankar that was more about George Harrison than Ravi Shankar. So I'm always excited when I get media like this in addition to the record. Yeah, I'm so excited about that. So the next one is another one I'm really excited about, and the kind of music I like having on all the time, and it is Sly and the Family Stone's The First Family. And look, this is just such a gorgeous piece of physical media. Look at how shiny it is, even in the plastic wrapping. This is a live one again. It was recorded at Winchester Cathedral, which is very cool. And yeah, I'm really excited about having some funk and soul in my collection, because I don't have that much. I have some neo-funk with Tank and the Bangas, and I love them, so I'm really happy to have some older, more classic funk and soul in my collection. What does this say? On this unissued, unprecedented vintage live recording, we hear them emerge fully formed from the womb. I love that. I love when writers get creative about their copy. It's part of my job, so I enjoy noticing that and appreciating that in others, because I know I'd love it if someone, you know, commented on something clever that I thought of to write. But yeah, Sly and the Family Stone, an awesome one. So up next is Lova. Oh, I'm gonna look up how to say her name. This is ridiculous. Laufey. Okay, that's so much easier than whatever crap I was doing. Laufey. And I know that's like the Americanized version, but I mean, I pronounce my name in the Americanized version because y'all can't handle my more Indian pronunciation of my name. But yeah, Laufey. Her Night at the Symphony. I am so excited about this. This is at the Hollywood Bowl, which is such a cool space that I've never been to. So I'm excited to have one of this specific venue that's so famous, and I would like so love to go to a show there. I'm really excited about having anything Laufey. I've enjoyed her music for a long time, but I haven't quite delved deep into her catalog, so I'm really hyped about this. So I had to run and grab one of the last ones I bought because it was in with my collection of singles. It wasn't really with the rest of my record collection. But this is Fortnite single, entirely expected of me to get. They had so many of these at Electric Fetus when we went up, and it was $20, which is, you know, steep for a single, but it's record store day. And it's an exclusive. It's a Taylor vinyl, which means, I mean, first of all, I love the song Fortnite. It's a really nice song. It's One of the better ones off of Tortured Poets Department. It's a bit of a roller coaster for me with Tortured Poets Department. Let me know if you want me to, review the anthology or something. I have a really old video of me reviewing every single song in Lover, but I haven't quite done that for her more recent albums. But, I love Taylor. I love Fortnight. It's a really catchy song. It gets stuck in my head a lot. So I'm happy to have it on vinyl, and also it has the added perk of like almost guaranteed will appreciate and value, which isn't always the case. It's not my number one consideration, but it is something that like does make Record Store Day just that little bit worth it in my head. It's a way of justifying things. I hardly ever sell vinyl or anything, but it's just a way of justifying the purchase to me. But yeah, love Fortnite. And the last one I got is one that I didn't know would be at Record Store Day, and I was surprised to see it and immediately grabbed it because it is the Prince and the new Power Generation Live at the Glam Slam, which is in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. Prince is from Minnesota, and I currently live here, and it is just, I absolutely had to. I don't have a Prince album. I, even after a year of living here, don't know a lot about Prince, but I absolutely had to get this. It's just going to be one of those things I'm going to keep forever. And yeah, I am so happy I have this. It's Got Nothing Compares to You. It doesn't have some of the more big songs. It doesn't have like Little Red Corvette or anything, but yeah, I couldn't not get this. The place, the timing, and it is a 140 gram LP, which is what I'm asking for of Record Store Day. I want the heavy, nice records, especially if you're gonna overcharge for these things. I'm so excited about this. It was just such a special moment. It was the last record I grabbed before heading to checkout. And yeah, I'm just very excited to have this. It was fantastic. So I kind of, in this like part 3 of my RSD video, I wanted to talk a little bit about RSD as a concept, because I've done this a few times now and I've had a couple of different experiences with it. It's something that, from my eyes, is getting bigger and bigger every year and is becoming more about value than listening potential in some ways. And, I buy into that a little bit too. I did say that, the Taylor one is going to appreciate and value. And I like knowing the value of certain things just to, have an understanding of where I'm at with my collection. But I also really hate selling records or shipping records, period, at least on things like Discogs and eBay and things like that. I recently did a giveaway for one edition of Taylor Swift's Tortured Poets Department manuscript because I got 2. The one I kept was signed. So I wanted to get rid of one. I did a little giveaway for the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund on Blue Sky. And then the act of shipping it out was horrid. It was just really like a pain to find cardboard that would fit around, that would keep it safe, and then like going to FedEx or something where I could get tracking information and all that stuff. It's such a pain. So I fully do not understand people who stay, overnight at a record shop to get their exclusive vinyl and then immediately resell it for profit. And there were people talking because, living in Central Time at the moment, some record shops were already open. Europe had already done their Record Store Day. The UK really goes hard on Record Store Day. So people were already seeing, eBay listings pop up of albums that they wanted, and the price was jacked up so high, and the entirety of the US hadn't even gotten a chance to look through their local record store and figure out what they wanted. And it's just, yeah, I don't know, resellers, man. this is something that I've also encountered in like other spaces, like books and working in books and things like that. Like there are some collectors and people who like old and rare books, and people who like signed books and things like that. But I've just never seen the same level of, it's almost like this like heartless, completely logical version of doing something. They're not showing up and staying overnight for the love of it. They're doing it so that they can make a few $1,000s or maybe more. I don't know exactly how quickly you can turn something around, but for me, it just seems so pointless. At record store day, this time while I was waiting around for my turn, one of the women who worked at the record shop and was kind of there to answer questions and stuff was talking about how this really felt like the 80s in terms of like the way you stand in line and wait for concert tickets, and like this was how to do that, and it was very nostalgic and very communal in that way. And, you were all experiencing something together. You were all standing in this line together. And, there are a couple of things that I grabbed in the moment that I don't necessarily want to keep forever, but that doesn't mean I was going in with the only objective being to resell. And, it just reminds me of scalpers or something, except you're not waiting in a virtual queue. You're waiting in a physical line. You're standing there in the cold for hours on end to do this. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem worth it to me. And there was another experience that I wanted to talk about that like made this even worse for me. And it was that this time around, someone who was a couple numbers behind me was a child. Two parents brought a kid. The kid was about 10 years old to record store day, specifically so they could get two things, all of the Harry Potter soundtracks, and you already know my thoughts on that. I J.K. Rowling and everything she stands for, and the video game soundtracks. And, I'm not going to, sit there and lecture a kid for wanting the Harry Potter soundtracks or anything. I didn't interact with this kid, but I was standing right in front of them the whole time, and I couldn't help but overhear things. And by the time the store was at its 50th customer, they were sold out of all of the things this kid wanted. It was a very short list, and this kid left disappointed. The kid still did a walkthrough of the store. Their parents hadn't taken tickets, so this kid went in alone and walked out empty-handed. And I just felt so bad for this kid because I don't think his parents should have brought him. And for me, it's one of those things where these parents obviously knew enough about record store day to come early and grab a decent spot. Anne and I went about 2 hours before opening, and, a couple of people behind us was probably like an hour 30 before opening. So they've grabbed a decent spot, but they completely underestimated the demand for these albums and made no attempt to like explore other options with this kid or recognize that you have to have a pretty long list. You have to have a list that's longer than 4 extremely high demand records with the awareness that you won't get everything on this list. It's one of those things where I want, in my head, I'm going, this isn't a children's event. You shouldn't bring a kid here, especially if they have their heart set on something, because they're bound to be disappointed. But on the other hand, this kid could have gotten something. They were pretty high up in line. I think Electric Fetus was on ticket 700 or something. They had a huge stack of tickets to give away, and they were in the low 100s. They should have gotten what they wanted, but because of these high demand records, and because people are already looking at eBay going, oh, I can make a few $1,000s off of this kid couldn't get what they wanted. I'm of two minds of this. I'm really curious to know what you think, because when I was a kid, I would have absolutely like thrown a temper tantrum if I was waking up at like 5 a.m. to stand in line in the cold and not get what I wanted. It already sucks as an adult to like want certain things and not get them, but I would feel that so much more as a kid, especially if I'm not listening to, the jazz greats of the 1960s. I want Harry Potter and video games. I feel two things about this, and it's one, you definitely shouldn't bring a kid to record store day. I almost wanted the parents to have gone by themselves and tried to get it and not told the kid, and then it would be a happy surprise when the kid woke up at, 10 or 11 a.m. when they should as a kid on a weekend, or, just save your money and buy it on resale. I don't know. But also I really want this culture of immediate reselling to die because, these grown-ups don't want these video game soundtracks. They just know that other people will who aren't willing to wake up at, 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning to get in line. So yeah, I'm just really curious what you think about reselling and all of that. And yeah, like I said before, there are some that I'm not necessarily planning on hanging on to forever. But I do want to give myself the opportunity to, have some time, see if I'm picking up these albums and listening to them before, passing them along to someone else. I'm just super curious what you think. I have so many mixed feelings on this topic. Yeah, I had a really great record store day. I really appreciate the way Electric Fetus runs RSD, and just giving the numbers out is such a huge help, and limiting us to 5 minutes made me make snap decisions in the moment that I maybe wouldn't have made otherwise, but it really moved things along, and it was fantastic. And I hope you had a really good record store day too. Let me know in the comments if you did record store day, if you've done record store day in the past, how it's different now. According to this t-shirt, this was record store day's 18th anniversary. I also got this t-shirt from Electric Fetus. I am just so curious if you've done it before, if you tend to get everything on your list, if you only really go in for one or two things, and if, they're sold out, you just go home, or if you try to look around and buy other things. I'm just so curious how you do record store day because, like I showed on, in my previous video and in this video, I have a very specific way I do things for record store day. I'm just curious what your method is, and, how you did. Did you get everything you wanted? Did you only get a couple things? Are you a reseller, and do you have a different opinion on these things than I do? I would love to hear your thoughts on all of that. And before I let you go, I just wanted to plug my now quarterly Media Monday newsletter. My first issue went out just a couple days after Record Store Day, and I'm really proud of it. If you want to know all of my thoughts on Doechie's Alligator Bites Never Heal, I absolutely loved it and have so many thoughts, along with a review of a memoir they called Us Exceptional by Prachi Gupta and Dan and Phil's Terrible Influence Tour. The link is in the description. I'm really proud of what I created in that, and I'd love it if you gave it a read. But that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time making it, and I had such a good record store day. Thank you so much for watching. All of the links will be in the description to everything I mentioned, and I really hope you have an amazing day. I will see you all in the next video. Bye!
Special thanks to Ben Birdperson, Untapped Inkwell, Kelly Otis, and Eric Svensson for being my patrons. If you would like to support my video work, head on over to patreon.com/firewordsparkler.